I think that, without getting too detail-oriented, I think I was pretty clear at the end of the season that, we had, set some performance standards, put some things in place. I think, each year Jay was the head coach. He improved and progressed as a head coach. But, some of those performance standards were certain things that we put in place to measure our progress as a team, as an organization, and again, not necessarily being measured by wins and losses. That was something that I think we both acknowledged was not going to be an easy task last year, but it was more about just environment and direction, and again, I think I said at the time, Jay fared well in a lot of areas, but at the end of the day, in terms of a gut feeling about where this needs to go and how we need to get there and how quickly we want to get there in terms of just accelerating the process. Jay and I had a chance to sit down in earnest, once my contract situation was resolved. That's truly the first time we really talked about the season in great detail. And it was probably a healthy exercise because, a lot of time had passed and it wasn't the heat of the moment discussion about the season. It was with a little bit of, we had some perspective from a different angle, having had some time pass. But, everything that went into those performance standards, was talked about, discussed. We talked about the direction of the team. And we've decided that it was time to change the voice, change the leader at the helm. And again, I think that I should be very clear in stating that I have tremendous respect for Jay. That is the single biggest reason why he will be part of this process moving forward. I'm very happy that Jay has agreed to remain engaged in this process that he has helped design and helped initiate. And moving forward, we look, we're looking forward to working together toward achieving our ultimate goal, and that is delivering a championship here. But at the end of the day, all of the factors that were discussed were weighed. It led to the conclusion that now was the right time to make a coaching change, and we've decided to do that.
Hey, Bryan, it's Doug Smith from the Toronto Star.
Yes, Doug.
What are the attributes you're looking for in the next guy? You've had coaches with very little experience in Sam and Jay. What do you want in the next guy you're going to hire, and how quickly do you think this process will unfold?
Doug, regarding timing, we're not going to put a definitive timetable in place, but you know that I would like to get moving on this immediately. Obviously, there's already a list of potential candidates just based on knowledge of the marketplace, and I would tell you that I will begin the process immediately in terms of following up on some of the names, finding out exactly what the status is with respect to certain targets. But most of the targets that I will focus on or follow up on will be candidates that have a great deal of experience. I think that is something that is important in this regard. I think that this young team, this group of young men that is obviously developing well under Jay, need to perhaps see someone with perhaps somewhat of a pedigree or a resume that would indicate this is someone who has achieved success in that forum before. And it's I think that again, tenure, experience, success, rate of success, those will all be factored in. Clearly, someone that has somewhat of a defensive-minded perspective, someone who's had success putting solid defensive units out there, out on the floor, have had success limiting point while still having some flow to the offense, that is something obviously that will be factored in as well. I think in finding a perfect blend, you would find someone that does have a good feel of the offensive side of the ball and has a free-flowing offense, but at the same time can really drill down on the defensive side of the ball, which is something that we need to dramatically improve on.
Bryan, it's Zach from the Fan again. When you talk about the tenure, the experience, how much would you weigh in the assistants that you have already, and I'm specifically thinking about PJ?
Yeah, regarding the assistants, obviously PJ is the only coach that does have a contract that extends beyond this season, which would be beyond June 30th. I would say that whoever the new coach is probably going to be the single biggest determinant with respect to who the staff will ultimately be and what positions are available. Whether or not some of the existing assistant coaches would be candidates to join that new staff is an unknown right now. But I would certainly be able to weigh in and offer my own advice and evaluation with respect to those individuals. Concerning PJ specifically, I have spoken to Lonnie Cooper very briefly following the conclusion today that Jay would not return as head coach, and I did inform him that PJ would not be considered a candidate at this time.
Bryan, it's Mike Ganter at the Toronto Sun. How you doing?
Hi, Mike.
What you just going back to what you just said about PJ? Why not? Why not PJ?
Well, there's again a little bit of history to this. When PJ was first recruited into our organization, I wanted everyone to be clear. I was not hiring PJ to be Jay's ultimate replacement. That was not the case. What we were looking to do was to amp up Jay's staff, amp up defensive focus and effort, and that was the sole purpose of bringing PJ in last year. I think the world of PJ as a coach. I think his 37 plus years, I guess now 38 it would be, years of experience is certainly something that bodes well. But given the makeup of this team and given the direction we want to go, I've concluded that PJ will not be a candidate for that position at this time.
If I could, you also mentioned talking about tenure and the importance of bringing in a guy with a track record. A fellow like Dwayne Casey, does that necessarily exclude him from this process?
I would not exclude anybody from the list right now. At the same time, I will not offer any names or specific targets because I want to keep the process as low-key. I would like to keep the process as low-key as possible. I do not want it to be a daily running play-by-play in the media with respect to who I'm talking to and how meetings went. That's never been my style, and I will try to conduct this search process under wraps as much as possible. I know that in this day and age it's difficult, yet at the same time I think it's the right way to go about the business. So, there may be rumor and speculation about certain candidates. Whether or not I ever confirm or deny that certain candidates are being considered is something I will have to determine at that time. But as of today, I will not address any specific names.
Bryan, it's Doug one more time. Given the change in direction that you discussed last year, early in November and December, when Reggie got hurt, and the focus on force-feeding minutes to the kids, do you think Jay got a fair shot?
Yeah, Doug, I think that, and I discussed this at great length, obviously there was a decision last year to let's say, go with this plan that, we would develop the young players and move the organization along to the extent that we were ready to use this next year as a platform to bounce. We've got salary cap flexibility. We've got a high draft pick coming in. But there are certain things that, again, if you look at in detail, which we have, and I don't want to be too specific, but there were certain things that I just felt we needed to address from a different point of view. With respect to a fair chance, I think by virtue of a couple of things. Number one, Jay was here almost, a full, let's call it 2 2/3 seasons. With respect to different teams, there was a team that arguably had a lot more talent. There was a team that arguably had a lot less talent. Again, not being measured by wins and losses, being measured by overall performance, and there was many things that go into that performance beyond wins and losses. It was determined that it was the right time to make a move. And I would say that by virtue of Jay having an opportunity to stay with the organization, continue to be part of this rebuilding plan and being a part of that plan and still having input into the ongoing process, I think not only did Jay get a fair shake, but he's got an ongoing fair opportunity to be part of this.
Bryan, Mike Ulmer calling, speaking to you. How are you doing?
Hi, Mike.
You mentioned pedigree. I wonder if you could expand on that for a second in terms of how important that is to relating to a young player, especially if you have or haven't played in the NBA before.
Well, Mike, pedigree is, it can be defined in many ways, but generally it's about history, it's about reputation, it's about performance, and a lot of those things will be considered when we talk about the kind of resume that those candidates or those targets bring to the table. And again, I think that I'm not even ruling out Jay being part of a staff if the right guy comes in. If a senior type coach came in and was open to having Jay come back, I would never force that issue, but I would anticipate that because Jay's a well-respected person in the basketball industry and also well-respected within this organization and even by the players, I think I made that clear at the end of the year, that there may even be an opportunity there. Again, for now, he's going to have a role as a special assistant to the president and general manager. That's me, but he will have an impact, a continued impact on this organization in the many things that he does, even outside of basketball. And I would just say that, again, if the right person comes in with the right resume and has the right level of comfort in that scenario, maybe that's a possibility. But pedigree is to me defined as the probably the qualities that I've listed there.
And how about the having played in the league? Obviously, you're going to get the widest range of samples you can get. Some will have played in the league, some not. But Jay didn't play in the league. Do you think that's important?
No, I don't think that's important at all. I think in some cases that's been a benefit, and in some cases that's been a detriment to some coaches. I wouldn't try to say that there's any kind of a certain or specific trend. I don't like to pigeonhole people or coaches or players or even management prospects or candidates based on what their history is in terms of the game itself. I think it's how bright you are, how hard you work, how passionate you are, what your knowledge level is. There's a number of things that go into it, and playing has never been a prerequisite for coaching the game, but in some cases it has helped, and in some cases it hasn't.
Thank you.
Again,
Bryan,
Jim, please limit the background noise. Thank you.
Sorry, Lombo. Brian, Eric Smith here.
Hi, Eric.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
I know you said that there wasn't going to be a specific timeline.
Modern design.
That's not on my end. I know you said there wasn't going to be a specific timeline. In a perfect world, would you like to try and have this done by the draft or by July 1st, depending on what may or may not happen in the league, or are you prepared to let this go months if need be to find the right person?
Well, that one of the things that I have always done is I have made sure that the coach has a lot of input into player personnel transactions, because a coach can make or break the decisions that are ultimately made based on their ultimate buy-in. I would, in a perfect world, describe having a coach in place before the draft, but you're probably talking about someone that's not altogether familiar with the draft candidates. I think it's pretty clear. We've narrowed down our draft choice list to probably about 8 guys at this stage for the 5th pick. That number's a little generous right now, but it's because we're going through the final process final stages of the process with respect to narrowing that decision down, or narrowing the factors down to making the decision. But at the same time, I think it's pretty clear we don't live in a perfect world. This may not be done in a short period of time. I'm not ruling it out, but it may take some time to find the right candidate and to develop the right dialogue between this organization and the candidate, respective candidate that we ultimately hire. Again, there's a timeline here with respect to the draft. It's a tight timeline. That right now takes priority, but I will be working parallel paths here as we approach that date, June 23rd. Again, if it doesn't happen between now and that date, that's not because it was by design. It was because that might just be the process, and it might take some time to make the right and final choice.
To become an MLSE Live Insider today.
Brian, Paul Jones here. How does the pending or timeline around the lockout impact your decision in terms of finding a coach?
Paul, again, that's not a question that I'm at liberty to discuss. I would tell you that right now we're focused on the draft, and we're focused on a normal business as usual, which is looking to hire a coach, within a timeline that would yield a candidate, a signed coach, prior to the start of next season. All other elements of the timeline I can't discuss.